Come stanno? Padre
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. My name is Koki Inuma. I'm with Japanese Embassy here in Portugal. First of all, I wanted to say thank you so much for being here with us. Without your support and presence, we wouldn't have been able to organize this event and make it happen. And thank you everyone, and especially these four distinguished guests. And today we are organizing this event with theme of hidden Christian, which is really interesting topic because when it comes to Japan or Japanese culture, people often think about Japanese food, pop culture, anime, and things like that. But this is also really important elements of our history and culture. So I'm really excited to learn as much as you are going to learn today. So thank you again for being here with us. So without further ado, I would like to proceed. And first, we will have opening remark from Japanese Ambassador to Portugal. So let's welcome Japanese Ambassador to Portugal, His Excellency Ambassador Marco.
Good evening, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank and welcome all of you to attend the lecture hosted by the Embassy of Japan. Today, we have invited three distinguished speakers from Japan to discuss about the history and importance of the hidden Christians in Japan. And first, I have an honor to welcome Father Toshiaki Koso of SJ, who has had a distinguished career such as serving as the Chancellor of the Sophia School Corporation and the President of the University of the Sacred Heart, Tokyo, and who will make opening remarks. In addition, Father Koso is also Director of the Hidden Christians Research Association, who obtains deep knowledge and insight about the history of the hidden Christians in Japan. I'd like to thank Father Koso for his support to make the lecture fruitful and productive. Following the opening remarks, I welcome two speakers, Father Renzo de Luca and Mr. Kazutoshi Kakimori. So Father de Luca is currently the director of the 26th Martyrs Museum in Nagasaki and has dedicated many years to fostering cultural exchanges between Japan and Europe through Christianity. Mr. Kakimori, as a descendant of the hidden Christians, inherits an invaluable history of the hidden Christian and has been actively researching about the history. I look forward to hearing their perspectives and valuable insights. Christianity was introduced to Japan in 1549, the missionary Francisco Xavier. This occurred 6 years after the arrival of the first Portuguese at Tanegashima in 1543. His efforts rapidly expanded the Christian community in Japan, even influencing some feudal lords, daimyo in Japanese, in Kyushu to convert to Christianity. Among these, the most notable cultural exchange was the Tensho Embassy to Europe. Dispatched in 1582 as representatives of Christian daimyos. This year marks the 440th anniversary of their historic arrival in Lisbon in 1584. However, the spread of Christianity also raised concerns within the Japanese government about potential colonial threats. As a result, Christianity was officially banned in 1587. This initiated centuries of persecution, with many believers, including the 26 martyrs of Nagasaki, suffering martyrdom for their faith. Despite such harsh conditions, a group known as the Hidden Christians, Kakure Kirishitans, preserved their faith in secret until the ban was lifted in the 19th century. So today, we invite you to reflect on this rich history of Japanese Christianity. The program includes a lecture on the subject, a video of Christian prayers known as Orasho, and a mini violin concert. We hope you enjoy this exploration of history and culture. It is a profound privilege to share this topic here in Portugal, which has deeply intertwined with Japan's Christian history. Through this event, I hope you will discover the rich diversity of Christian faith in Japan and reflect on the historical ties between Japan and Portugal through Christianity. I hope today's lecture gives you an opportunity to find a new aspect and impression about the Christianity in Japan. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, and I also would like to ask for another remark for one of our distinguished guests, Father Toshiaki Koso, and just a quick introduction of himself. Father Koso was born in Hiroshima, Japan. He's a professor emeritus of Sophia University in Tokyo and former chancellor of Sophia School Corporation. He also served as the president of the University of Sacred Heart in Tokyo, and he's a recipient of the Order of Rising Sun, which is awarded by the Japanese government for individuals who made distinguished contribution of advancement of Japan. And he's the pastor of St. Ignatius Church in Tokyo and director of Hidden Christian Research Association. So let's welcome Father Toshiaki Koso.
I will speak in Japanese, English, but now in Japanese. この度、こういう私どもの、禁教期のキリシタン研究会の、をここにお招きくださり、歓迎してくださったこと、そしてこういう会を持ってくださったことについて感謝を申し上げます。で、レンツォ神父様に少し英語で省略していただきますので、ちょっと来ていただけますでしょうか。で、まずは太田大使に、そして大使館の皆様に本当にお世話になりました。ありがとうございます。感謝を申し上げます。
最初に、皆さんに、感謝したいと思います。I think this evening is going to be a hard one. So first, thank you, Ambassador, and distinguished guests for inviting us, and we are happy to be with you.
で今日はポルトガルのバチカン大使のヌチウスをおめでとうございました。ありがとうございます。そして今日このお忘れなさる方にも感謝を申し上げます。ありがとうございます。
We thank all of you for having me.
先ほど太田大使のお話ございましたけれども、このリスボンからザビエルが1542年日本に向かいました。
As Ambassador has already pointed, Francis Xavier started from Lisbon and started to go his trip that will end to Japan already some years before arrival.
そしてザビエルが日本の若者を最初に、ヨーロッパに送ろうとして送ってここにたどり着いたのが鹿児島のベルナルドです。
And Xavier also was in charge of sending Japanese people to Europe. They were the first Japanese to come, and the first to arrive here to Lisbon was Bernardo, who was from Kagoshima.
彼は日本人の最初のヨーロッパへの留学生でした。
He was the first exchange student to Europe from Japan.
しかしローマで、教皇にも会い、ロイヤルのイグナチオにも会ってコインブラに帰ってきたんですけれども、そこでイエス会に入って勉強している間に病気で亡くなってしまいました。
And Bernardo, after having met the Pope and also Saint Ignatius of Loyola, he entered the Society of Jesus and moved to Coimbra, and he died there.
ですから彼らができなかったことをそれから30年後、天正剣王施設という4人の少年たちが改めて、アレッサンドロ・バリニャーノの計画のもと、ここにヨーロッパに送られましたが、上陸したのはリスボンです。
So what Bernardo couldn't do 30 years after the Four Boys Embassy realized, and they also arrived here to Lisbon 440 years ago.
その意味で日本とポルトガルの出会ったところのキーポイントはリスボンです。
So in that sense, the point of exchange, the link between Japan and Portugal, between Japan and Europe, it was this one.
そのシンボルとして今回長崎のカステラを持ってまいりました。
So as a representative of that exchange, we brought Castella cake.
もともとオリジンはポルトガルのお菓子です。
As you know, it was originally made in Portugal and it was exported to Japan.
ここに2つございますので、1つは大田大使、1つはスカポロ、
We have two
差し上げたいと思います。
one for the ambassador, Portugal one for the ambassador of Portugal.
So this Castella is a descendant of a Pandero in Japan.
先ほどご紹介いただきましたけれども、私どもは禁教期のキリシタン研究会という会を立ち上げておりまして、この度バチカン、ポルトガルの聖地を巡礼し交流をするというそういう企画を立てております。
So our group is a Hidden Christians Research Association, and this time we went to Rome, mainly Vatican, and then we came to Portugal.
今のバチカンとポルトガルとでお分かりになると思いますが、この私たちの今回の旅は2つのミッションがあります。
We have especially two missions in this trip.
一つはバチカンを訪問すること、もう一つはポルトガル、リスボンを中心に訪問すること。
So we wanted to visit the Vatican and also Portugal, mainly Lisbon and Coimbra.
でこの2つの、ミッションをつないでいるのが、2018年6月30日に長崎と天草の、潜伏キリシタンたちの遺跡が世界遺産、ユネスコの世界遺産に登録されたことです。
So in 2018, the UNESCO declared World Heritage a group of churches in Nagasaki area, churches and Christian-related sites. So that's our main point.
実は2000年頃からもうこの世界遺産登録という運動を始めたんですけれども、20年ぐらいかかりました。
So actually, our group, before the official, the different government officials start to move in 2000, we start to do this movement that took almost 30 years to realize.
その間にバチカンの文化、教育文化に関連するセクションと、それから教皇フランシスコもこの日本の潜伏キリシタンの歴史とか宝物をサポートしていただきました。
So during that period, we have the support, a very strong support from the Vatican cultural groups and also from Pope Francis.
そして、世界遺産に登録されてから私たちはすぐにお礼に来たかったんですけれども、コロナのために旅行ができませんでした。
So we wanted to thank the Vatican, the Dicasterio of la Cultura, and also Pope Francis, but because of the corona, we weren't able to do this trip, and this trip we are doing now.
それでようやく今回私たちの世界遺産を登録するときにバチカンの力が大きく働いて登録できたということについてお礼を申し上げたいということでバチカンに参りました。
So actually, we went to the Vatican to thank that support that made this World Heritage Declaration possible.
現在のバチカンの文化教育省の長官はメンドーサ、ポルトガルの出身の方、大司教様です。
So as you know, the Cardinal Mendoza, who is from Portugal, is the chief of the Dicasterio para Cultura.
もうご自分からも遠藤周作の沈黙の話だとか、そういうようなことをしてもらって、非常にこの旋風キリシタンについての関心をお持ちでした。
When we visited him 2 days ago, he told us that he was much impacted and shocked by the novel and also for the movie Silence of Shin-ichiro.
そしてこれからも私たちのこの活動と必要な時にはいつでも支援しますよということをおっしゃっていただきました。
And he encouraged us and he told us, if you need any help and support from the Vatican, be sure we'll be there.
そして私たちも驚いたというか特別なお恵みでしたけども、その次の日に教皇フランシスコが私たちのグループを謁見してくださいました。
And we have also the privilege to meet, to have an interview, group interview with Pope Francis.
そしてこの教皇フランシスコの召かった時に禁教期の潜伏キリシタンたちが持ってた宝物をプレゼントしてますが、それについては後ほどレンツシムさんか柿森さんがお話をします。
So we present him with some relics of the hidden Christians, and he said that after that I will speak about that.
でもその時に教皇は禁教期のキリシタンのさまざまなその信仰、そういうようなものは宝物である。そして過去を向いているだけの宝物ではなくて、現在も意味があるし、つまりいろんな迫害を受けている地域がある中で信仰を持っている人たちへの大きな励ましになるし、未来に向けてのメッセージにもなるということを非常に強調しておられました。
So Pope Francis told us in his speech to receive us that what the hidden Christians have left is present, is valuable content, and it should be not seen as something of the past, but also something for the present and also for the future of the church.
その意味でこの第一のミッションは私たちが想像する以上にいいこの実りを結んだというふうに思っています。
So in that sense, we are very happy to say that this first mission of the visit to the Vatican was really successful.
2つ目のミッションはポルトガルです。先ほど申し上げました通り、日本とポルトガルの出会い交流の起点、その最初のポイントはリスボンです。
So the second part of our trip is here in Portugal, focused on Lisbon.
そこで私たちもどういうふうにこの交流を深めることができるかといろいろ考えまして、フランスコ・ザベルがキリスト教を伝えた。しかし日本では禁教令でキリスト教が禁止されて司祭も誰もいなくなってしまう。しかしそういう中で250年を超えて信仰がずっと続きました。
So when we wanted to think about what we can do is first to recall the fact that after Francis Xavier brought Christianity to Japan, because of the persecution, there was a long period when Christianity went high.
そしてその信仰が続いたその大事なこの元になっているのがお授けです。画面にありますけども、つまり生まれた子供に洗礼を授けるということを神父がいなくても信徒が250年を超えてずっとこれを続けてきたから潜伏キリシタンの信仰が続いたんです。
So one of the key points for this transmission of the faith is Osasuke, the name they used for baptism. So baptism was the key for this transmission from generation to generation, and it was done just by the lay people.
去年その50年ぶりに隠れキリシタンの洗礼式の儀式を執り行いました。そしてそれを動画に収めましたので、今日はそれをまずは皆様にお見せいたします。
So last year we have the experience of reconstruction, how the hidden Christians did this ceremony and its Osasuke. So there will be a short documentary that we are going to show you now.
それを見ていただいた後、ベンツ神父様と柿森さんの方からどういう背景がここにありますか、これ現代的にどういう意味がありますか、未来に向けてどういうメッセージを持ってますかということについての講演をしていただきます。
And after we see the documentary, how the baptism was performed, I and Mr. Kagimori will speak about the background and the message, the meaning of this.
どうぞお楽しみいただきたいと思います。
So I hope you enjoy it.
最後に今日コインブラに行って、その大聖堂に鹿児島のベルナルドのお墓があるところを訪ねました。
So as the last remark, we went to Coimbra and we saw the tomb of Bernardo.
日本とポルトガルとのつながりを作りかザベルが最初、鹿児島のベルナルドが最初というこの大事なその役割を持った方なんですが、今日大聖堂に行ってみるそのお墓には何の名前も名も書かれてないんですよ。
So we went to the tomb of Bernardo, but we realized that there is no sign, not anything written about it.
ちょっとこの挨拶で申し上げるのに失礼かと思うんですけども、ぜひ日本大使にですね、その辺のことをご尽力いただいて、ちゃんとした名前を刻んで、日本とポルトガルのこの、交流の接点だというところ始めたということを訴えていただきたいと思っております。
So even if I think it's improper to say this in this situation, I would like to ask the ambassador of Japan if there is a possibility to make something written there that shows this exchange, the start of this exchange between Japan and Portugal.
お礼の挨拶でこういうお願いするの失礼かと思うんですけど、どうぞその点をお許しいただいて、どうぞこれからよろしくお願いいたします。
So please take it into consideration and also thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Father Oso. At the beginning, I totally forgot to mention, but at the end of the event, there is a small reception with Japanese food and drinks. So I heard there was another reception right before this event, but I guess there is always some space for nice Japanese food in the stomach. Just to let you know, okay? So moving on, I'm going to play a short documentary mentioned by the presenters.
五島列島の玄関口福江島からフェリーで40分成島に到着しました。ここから始まった世界遺産登録への活動、それは2018年に実を結びました。ここには信仰を守り続けてきた人々がいました。人里離れた海に近い谷間を移住の地として選び、密かに生き抜いてきたのです。彼らはキリスト教が禁じられている中、仏教や神道の信仰を装いながらキリスト教信仰を続けていました。潜伏キリシタンです。そして1873年、キリスト教の禁教が解かれました。すると多くの潜伏キリシタンはカトリックに復帰しました。その後に建てられた江上天主堂は潜伏が終わりを迎えたことを象徴しています。集落内で隠れて祈る必要がなくなったのです。しかし禁教期が過ぎてもカトリックには戻らず、潜伏時代の信仰形式を守り続けた人々がいました。 彼らを隠れキリシタンと呼びます。今でもその痕跡がところどころに残っています。隠れキリシタンたちは目立たず村々を行き来するために道を切り開きました。その代表的なものがアコギ古道です。当時の石垣が今でも残っています。オラショ洞窟も隠れキリシタンの痕跡です。洞窟の入り口は海水で閉ざされ、泳いでいかないと近づけません。オラショとは隠れキリシタンたちの祈りを意味しています。この洞窟で人知れず指導者の立場を継ぐ者に伝授されました。資料館の館長柿森さんが貴重なものを見せてくれました。
普通こういうものは和紙って書くんですけど、金に書いたっていうのは非常にやっぱり特殊なね、この資料館の宝物の一つです。
当時貴重だった絹に書かれたオラ書、今日の恩敷。日本で現存するものはこれ一つです。記録によると1958年当時の人口9000人のおよそ7割が隠れキリシタンだったといいます。独自に進化した文化は封鎖された世界で脈々と受け継がれてきました。観音に似せたマリア像、バスチャンと呼ばれた日本人伝道師が作ったバスチャンの暦。旧暦10月12日は聖フランシスコ・ザビエルの亡くなった日など、すべての年中行事がこの暦に従って進められました。そしてその暦を司るのが長方と呼ばれる者の役目でした。
この宗教を辞めた人は後で家族の者にいろいろ災いがあって迷信って言うけど迷信じゃなかったですよ。
この地で長方を務めた岩村義信さんです。この岩村さんを大叔父に持つ資料館館長の柿森さんは、岩村さんが残したお授け割方座前帳に書かれた隠れキリシタンの洗礼儀式、お授けの復元に15年間取り組んできました。鳴島でのお授けは1972年8月を最後に行われていません。またこの儀式を映像に収めたものは存在しません。柿森さんはこのお授けを51年ぶりに復元したいと考えていました。もしそれに成功すれば初の映像化です。鳴島では幼児洗礼を行ってきました。お授けは現在を示す角を折るという意味から別名角かきとも呼ばれています。
角かきをしている写真です。
この儀式には女性は参加できませんでした。洗礼を受けた子供の母親南智子さん、現在は仏教徒に改宗しています。
男の人たちばっかり座るあれだったんですよね。お寺さんでも話しました。私隠れキリシタンでこういうこともやっていたよって。
今こうやって話せることが嬉しいと語ってくれました。復元にはクリスタル・ウェランさんという文化人類学者が1996年に隠れキリシタンのクリスマスの儀式を撮影した映像を参考にしました。その映像を実際に儀式を執り行った人に見せて聞き取り調査を行いました。9年前に亡くなった鳴島最後の長方 北川勲さんです。
こっち側にその長方が多いんですか？長方こっちのに。
どこだこっち。
こっちですか？
俺はもう全く違うもんな。
違うんですね。やっぱり。
一応私も潜伏キリシタンに潜んであっても、なかなかやっぱり心を開いてくれなかったのね。3、4年してきた中で、いろいろこう心を開いていただいて、いろんな人の協力によって、それは実現できたんですね。今日出てもらった人たちも全部強盗に関係ある人たちですので、私としては本当にこうパワーフル的な、一つのこう動画でしたのかなという、私的にはそう思います。なぜそういうこう役に続いてきたことはなぜこういうつながりがお持ちだったか。それが大事だと思います。
今回柿森さんの15年の思いが叶い、当時の状況に最も近いと思われる形でのお授けの儀式の復元に成功しました。儀式は聖水を汲むことから始まります。儀式は三役と言われるお役が務めます。杖を置くのは洗礼が行われていることを示しています。儀式の前に丹念に体を清めます。行事の準備をする世話役宿老は矢口進さん、長方役は古木義忠さん、そして宣教師に代わって洗礼を授ける水方役は柿森さんが務めます。3つずつあるのは父と子と聖霊が一つであることを意味するキリスト教の教義三位一体を表しています。ご飯とお酒はパンとブドウ酒の疑似、魚は精進を好む仏教徒が寄りつかないようにするためです。
それで皆様今からお授けを始めましょうかの。アベマヤカシャベナドベレコベラトヨイモネベツイキンナナレンツコロンツレケレンツジサンタマリアベコマリアデネニアタクリニアテイキニア棟梁何期にもなっつりアーメン領しかたじけない。
祈りにはラテン語が混ざっています。信者たちが修道士の言葉を忠実に受け継いだ証です。生涯父親代わりとなる抱き親役は13歳の岩村春彦君、洗礼を受ける役は2歳の内山丈介君です。参加者は皆島のものです。地元でこの儀式を守っていこうという思いです。
みんな書という、キリストになりたいか。はい、わかりました。ね、冷たいのをね。はい。横手パーチリ、嫁パーチリ、エッツヒリユースペリットサントの宮を持ってアーメン術形しかない。はい、これね。りょうちゃんおめでとう。
お授けの後、三役からの祝福を受けます。異教徒だと言われ、キリスト教とは区別されることも多かった隠れキリシタン。51年ぶりに復元された彼らの洗礼儀式をカトリックの神父はどう見たのでしょうか。
彼らと備えていたオラストもたとはラテン語、私たち外国人であっても聞いてて、これはアベマリアとか主の祈りだと分かるほど何世代も続いてきたということだから、それはもう間違いなくフランシスコ・ザビエルの時代から彼らはその伝統を守り続けていた。彼らが例えばどういうカムフラージュすればいいかと、可能性を置いててもマリア様に祈れるんだと、よっぽど信仰は深くなかったらそれはできないですね。この頃私たちがやはり肯定的に見る流されなかったということは本当に素晴らしいと私は思うんですね。
Father Renzo is going to give you a presentation and just a little bit of background of Father Renzo. He was born in Argentina and entered the Society of Jesus in 1981, and he was sent to Japan in 1985. And he studied in Sophia University and became ordained priest in 1996. In 2017, he was appointed as the Provincial of the Jesus Province of Japan. In 2023, he returned to Nagasaki and became the director of the 26th Mart Museum. And Father Renzo, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. I will speak a little about the devotion of Saint Ignatius among the hidden Christians. Actually, there are many points, but I want to focus just in one point that is very characteristic of these hidden Christians of the area where we are speaking today. First of all, when the first Christians arrived, and mainly because of the influence of Father Alexander Valignano, the Christians started to print in Japanese the different prayers. So we have here a copy of 1591 of the different prayers. So already we are printed and spoken, prayed in Japanese at that time. We have an old calendar, liturgical calendar in Japanese in 1594, and we can see that the different characters is an adaptation of the sound of the character to make it Domingo, Saint Ignatius, Our Lady of the Snows, and so on. Again, interesting enough, in this calendar we have the opening of Christianity, Francis Xavier, what is written there. So instead of saying that is a celebration of Christianity, because at this moment, of course, Francis Xavier was not beatified or canonized. They say opening of Christianity, Francis Xavier. That reminds the Christians when they started with this religion in Japan. After that, when Christianity became very open in Japan, we have the textbooks, philosophy, theology, and so on, printed, and also this handwriting made into Japanese. So the Japanese Christians were not only able to read the prayers or to pray the prayers, but also to study philosophy, theology, and so on in Japanese. This is already, just to remind you, more than 400 years before the Second Vatican allowed the vernacular in different places of the Catholic Church. Speaking about how much the Christians learn Japanese, Latin and different, we have this Romanized Japanese and Portuguese greeting. Is a letter of Brother Damian to the Jesuits in Rome. So if you make it, you can see that is a very fluent Japanese and very skillful Japanese, with the sign of Damian at the left. And it's written there once and once again, I humbly ask for your prayers. So we can say that, as it was perfectly Japanese style in the politeness and so on, it's also a very good Portuguese and Romanized Japanese letter. Again, we have the confraries that ask for approbation. In this case, 7 lay Japanese people asked the general of the Jesuits to ask for approval of this conference. As we are here in Portugal, you can see that is completely readable. En más esos servicios de la confraría, en ella será tenido con más estima de los cristianos como dos gentíos, y será más ayudada con esmolas sostensado de monstruos pobres que tem a su cargo para mayor gloria de Deus honra de la cristiandad, and so on. We have another things about the Christian calendars. For example, this letter of 1602, where they say that the lady asked Justo, who is Blessed Takayama Okon, asked for the calendar, and he said only the one that has the Sundays. So the lady told Okon that she wanted the one more detailed one. And actually, in the place where already Mr. Kakemori will speak later, in his place we have these two calendars. The one that says Do, it means Domingo, so when you celebrate the Lord's Feast, and also a more detail with all the saints and so on. These two have been kept already 1850, so 15 years before the arrival of the missionaries from France. They still kept these calendars as a tradition. This was for handwritten, hand-copied, and transmitted to the others. Before, for example, the persecution, we have this kind of celebration of the Mass in the Biombo, and we can see that this celebration almost as it would have been in Europe. After that, we had a persecution. For example, this book in 1608 already speaking about the persecution of Taiko-sama, which is Toyotomi Hideyoshi. The sacramentary that Bishop Cerqueira, who was a Portuguese and the first bishop who could be active in Japan, actually he was the third nominated bishop of Japan, but he's the one who could work, so to speak, and he made a sacramentary. In this sacramentary we have Latin and Romanized Japanese texts, for example, of the baptism, of the funerals, and so on, which help a lot for the hidden Christians, so they could have this text, how to baptize people, how to do the funerals and things like that. We can see, for example, August the 5th, Our Lady of the Snows. Again, Bishop Cerqueira make different reports to Rome about the martyrs and so on. In this case, we have the Gaspar, who is already beatified, and there you can see the underlined calendario. So this Gaspar, who was a lay person, he belonged to one of those confrarias, and he was in charge of this calendar. So we can see this tradition was kept by the hidden Christians also. The Chokata we have seen in the documentary is the one who keeps the records, who made the calendars, so the people know where to celebrate, when to celebrate Easter and things like that. Some of the liturgical rules given by Bishop Cerqueira, we can see that the preacher will let the people, the community, where the feasts are and how to celebrate, if it was a solemnity, a remembrance, things like that. And also we have a Japanese translation of the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola, printed in Nagasaki in 1607. So probably this was one of the first translation, non-Latin publications of the spiritual exercises. Because in Europe they didn't need to translate it to Portuguese or to Spanish. They have it already, Latin would have been enough. But for the Christians in Japan, and mainly for the Jesuit missionaries, they have already a translation of the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius. This is the content, how it's written, and you see it there, Beato Padre Ignacio. So already in this moment, Ignatius was beatified but not canonized yet. In some of the records, you have this flag. Actually, the flag of our group we have here hanging is taken from this moment, from this painting, old painting. And you can see there in the center, you have St. Francis Xavier and St. Ignatius in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Also, we have different mentions of Francis Xavier and St. Ignatius in different records during the time. The hidden Christians also made medals copied. The originals may have been medals brought from Europe in bronze, but this is a shelf, mother of pearl, carved by hand. You can see Saint Ignatius Societatis Jesus Fundator, and in the back the IHS, the signs of the Jesuits. So they copy these medals with the material they have at hand. Again, this one is a copy of a medal brought from Europe and remade with bronze. That's why some of the places you can see that the bronze is lacking, that it's not very clear because it's a copy of a medal. But again, interesting enough, you can see there the mystical experience of Saint Ignatius at Las Tortas. So it's interesting that in Japan they knew about this experience of Saint Ignatius, while that probably most of the people here, they are not aware unless they are very close to the Jesuits or to the society. So these details also pass to the transmission, to the Christianity in Japan, mainly of course through the influence of the Jesuits. Again, some of the hidden Christians, for example in Ikitsuki, one of the the islands in Kyushu, they have the same medals that they are in our museum brought from Europe. So there you have Francis and Saint Ignatius together with the Blessed Sacrament. Now centering on the calendars, as it was already mentioned, we have some of the feasts. For example, this one says October 11, San Francisco Xavier, the day of the opening of Christianity in Japan. So this is the old calendar of Japan. That's why this October 11 will be related to the feast of Saint Ignatius we are celebrating tomorrow. It's exactly the same day, but it's a different calendar. I already mentioned in the movie Silk Prayer, and already also here say, I pray to Francis, so Saint Francis. The Kitagawa family we have already seen in the movie have also this the same calendar detail of the opening of Christianity. This one is the day of Saint Ignatius, confessor. So they kept also, he was a confessor, a martyr and so on. It was all written down in different families. Actually, we choose exactly this 1850s because it's before the coming of the missionaries from Europe, and it's a very old, it's a long after traditions are to show how detailed and how exactly was it transmitted. This is Yuki no Santa Maria, so Our Lady of the Snows, and Saint Ignatius. Interesting enough, we don't have any statues of Francis Xavier in Japan left by the hidden Christian, but we have this one, they call it Inasho-sama, so Venerable Ignatius. And of course, if you see it, it doesn't really look any saint statue, but they call it Inasho-sama, and they have celebration of this feast of Saint Ignatius, another expression of Ignatius. And interesting enough, when there was a persecution by the officials in Japan, they confiscate many things the hidden Christians have, and one of those it was Inasho-sama. So the ones who confiscated it, they didn't know what it was, but they knew that the hidden Christian called it Inasho-sama. Again, this is a text, a Japanese text, but I will skip it, the same content. You have a comparison of different calendars, and you can see that in most of the calendars they keep the feast of Saint Ignatius. Again, interesting enough, in many hidden Christian congregations, groups, only in Narushima they kept this Ignatius celebration. In other calendars, this celebration is not, at least not written, even if they do. But in this Goto area of Narushima, they kept it in all the three cases. As it was mentioned in the movie also, Iwamura Yoshinobu was one of the Chohata, the one in charge of writing the prayers and transmitting the calendars. He left this book written, of course, after the persecution was finished. And interesting enough, in these notes he left, he said, for complaints and disputes, pray from Saint Ignatius. I will skip some because also in China, as you know, they have a calendar sacramentary done by Father Buglio, who was then the bishop there, and he kept this feast of Saint Ignatius and the one of Francis Xavier. Some of the calendars left by the Christians also show this Saint Ignatius and Francis Xavier celebration. After the persecution was over, when the missionaries, French missionaries came in 1865, March 17, they have this re-encounter with the hidden Christians. So they have this famous line there, Santa Maria no posso dopo. This is the original French text, but even in this case they kept this in Japanese. Where is the statue of Our Lady? Because the hidden Christians knew that if the people coming back were Catholic priests, they will surely have a statue of Our Lady. That's why they asked the missionaries, they didn't know. They haven't seen the missionary for more than 250 years, so they didn't know what it was, a living foreign missionary, but they knew that if they were real Christians, they will have Our Lady statue. And that's why they asked, among with other questions. For example, if they have the Pope as their leader, and also if they are married or not. So Father Petition, after arriving to Japan and starting to talk with the hidden Christians, for example, left this, remember this letter. They say that there were different groups of hidden Christians, and they celebrate, for example, the fasting and so on, or the places in different style. And that was because of the communication among them. It was not very fluent, of course, because it was the danger of being caught. So what they did, the French missionaries, they started to write down each one of the formula they were using to baptize the children. So one of the ones that we saw in the movie, in the documentary, is one of these. So they were different because of the different languages, translation, I mean the speech and so on, that after so many generations changed. And interestingly enough, after reading all down these different, this is just a part of the long list, they conclude that most of them, about 90% of this formula, were valid. It means that they didn't need to redo the baptism, and the baptism done by the lay people, it was made them real Catholic believers. So, for example, in that one of these dialogues with the hidden Christians, the French missionaries were interviewing them, and the hidden Christians also were asking different questions because the sound and so on seems a little strange. And for example, there you have one of the lines, and you see that even the French ears could hear it as Ego te baptizo in nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti, Amen, Jesus. So it was kept perfectly in Latin during all these years without people being able to read Latin or to have someone who can correct or read and so on. So for them it was really incredibly precise, because they knew that this was to keep their faith alive. Also some of the paintings they have, and Pope Pius IX sent a letter to the bishop in Japan and said, even when the hidden Christians, they could not understand the content properly, they kept our faith as it was passed down to generations. And after the priests came back, quickly received the sacraments. So it can be expected that with the proper instruction, they will be faithfully reintegrated and show the beautiful fruits of the early church. We rejoice in these rare fruits that endure the storm of the long persecution. After that, the French missionaries started to do these manuals for Mass and different things and so on. So for us, it's very clear that this tradition of the Christians, the hidden Christians, it was kept almost intact. So for them, really was very important, and actually they succeed to link this faith transmitted by the first missionaries to the church we have now in Japan. So in that sense, it's also for us a kind of obligation to show this to the people. And this story, we know that is very little known even in Japan. So for us, it's really a pleasure to be able to present this to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father Lenzo. And before moving on to the next musical performance, we were going to take 10 minutes break, but we are a little bit behind the schedule. So we take 5 minutes break, if that's okay with everyone. And if you would like to use the bathroom, you go right, and there is an emergency exit to your left, and you enter the door that leads to the corridor where there is a bathroom there. And there is another bathroom on the ground floor. You go down the stairs and you turn left. There is an elevator, and there is another emergency exit, and that leads you to the corridor with the bathroom. So it's 7:37 at the moment. So let's be back in 5 minutes. And when I say 5 minutes, that's Japanese 5 minutes. Okay? 300 seconds. I'm going to count. So I'll see you everyone in 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Well, it took everyone 5 minutes and 27 seconds, so it's a little bit of disappointing, but still acceptable. So next we have a musical performance by Mr. Osako. A little bit of a background. He was born in Kagoshima, south part of Japan, but currently living in Tokyo. He has been performing as a travel creating artist, mainly in Tokyo, but also throughout the country. He has performed in front of 20,000 people in total throughout his career, and after he obtained music degree, he performed in Italy, Czech Republic, and Romania. And he also performed in the presence of Crown Prince and Princess of Japan, who are currently Emperor and Empress of Japan. So let's welcome Mr. Osako. Mr. Osako. And Osako-san, floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jun-e Osako. Next comment is very important. I need a brother Lens translate correct English. I am very broken English. Sorry. 今日は禁教期のキリシタン研究会が皆様に音楽をプレゼントいたします。研究会のメンバーである、バイオリニスト大迫純也が船舶キリシタン関連遺産に基づいた祈りの島という音楽物語をご紹介します。
So we like to present you with music. In this case, is a composition called the Island of Prayer.
音楽物語祈りの島は400年前キリスト教が日本に伝わって250年潜伏をして祈りを続け弾圧に耐えそしてカトリックに復活したその歴史を音楽物語にしました。
So this composition tries to translate in music this progress, this path of Christianity in Japan since the arrival of Christianity more than 400 years ago, and also through the 250 years of persecution. So the idea is to show that, express that in music.
本来は私バイオリンだけではなくて、あとチェロ、そしてピアノ、そしてナレーションに よる、物語の進行です。
So original is not just the violin, but also has cello and different instrument and narration also. So this is just a part of the whole composition.
今日はバイオリンのメロディーだけですけど、その世界をお届けしたいと思います。
So today is just a violin, but I hope you enjoy the music.
先ほどありがとうございます。Thank you for inviting me. Us. Before I present Inori no Shima, the islands of players, I give you some pieces. First of all, I play classical music, Lovers Greeting, composed by Elgar. Next number is Ave Maria, composed by Gounod. introduce Inori no Shima music story. Inori no Shima means the islands of prayer. Do you get a pamphlet? This pamphlet, please, this is Inori no Shima. This Nagasaki's this heritage content is very difficult. I want to communicate them more easily who they don't know hidden Christians. So I make a music story, Inori no Shima, the islands of prayers. The island of prayers include 20 music. Today is 2 pieces I introduce you. At first, 希望の船出 Departure of Hope. When the hidden Christian escape a persecution, they sail away, search hope. Next number is Inori. The suffering to hiding Christian is expressed. group version, this QR code, please. Okay. Next music from a movie. Do you know movie Mission? This film's main character is Jesus Sky's brother. How to say Jesus Sky in English?
Jesse.
Jesse. This is brother. He contacted by oboe, very famous music, Gabriel's oboe. Rachmaninoff's music, vocalist is a Russian. I play this piece. I play a piece. タイス、メディテーション・オブ・タイス。
Thank you very much, Mr. Osako-san. It was a beautiful performance. And we have another presentation from one of our distinguished guests, Mr. Kakimori. He was born in Nagasaki, and he has been researching the life of the hidden Christians, and he also has been funding various associations, and he has been often interviewed by different media agencies, both nationally and internationally. And he's the director of the Akogi Hidden Christians Village and manager of the Hidden Christians Research Association. So let's welcome Mr. Kakimori.
今日はだいぶ時間も押してますので、どれくらいのちょっと20分はちょっと時間オーバーするかもしれませんけど、少し早めがいいでしょうかね。私1998年頃からこの長崎のキリスト教文化を世界遺産にしようという活動を始めました。
My name is Kazutoshi Kakimori. I have been working since around 1998 from a private and civic standpoint to make Nagasaki Christian culture a World Heritage Site, and I am currently engaged in research and study of hidden Christians and the preservation and transmission of Christian culture.
現在はですね、長崎の潜伏キリシタンの調査とか研究とか、そういうことをやってます。で、それはいろんな隠れキリシタンの資料をですね、いろんなことを調べながらやってきたんですけど、すごい彼らはすごいことをやってきたなということをつくづくですね、今思っています。
While I'm doing the research, I realize each day more that what the hidden Christian have left us is a really rich heritage.
今日はですね、私も英語はあまり堪能じゃありませんので、私が作ったパワーポイントと原稿をもとにですね、連藤神様からちょっと話を英語で話してもらいたいというふうに思っています。
Because I'm not well able to speak in English, I asked Father Renzo to translate my PowerPoint, so I will present that. My Japanese presentation will be done in English by Renzo. Go ahead. The map shows Japan, Kyushu, Nagasaki Prefecture, and the Goto Islands, in which Narushima Island is the center. My parents' ancestors were also hidden Christians of Narushima. In 1960, the population of Narushima was about 9,200. 70 of the islanders were hidden Christians, 10% Catholics, and the rest were Buddhist or Shintoist. The hidden Christians used to have 3 leaders in each group, but now there are no more leaders. In Akogi, where I was born, my grandfather, Sankichi Furuki, used to be the Mitsukata, baptizing leader of the Christians. The small red marks of the map are the village of hidden Christians. The organization of the hidden Christian consisted of a 3-person system: the Chokata, head of a clerk, the Mitsukata, the baptizer, and the Shukuro, who performed the ritual and recite the prayers. The roles of the 3 members were to prepare a calendar for each year, and the believers lived according to this calendar through the year. It was a way to protect their faith. The Mitsukata performed baptism, and the Shukuro prepared for events and assist the Chokata, the Mitsukata. In 2008, I built a research base in Akogi, where I was born and where my ancestors lived, in order to conduct research hidden Christian. The house was designed by my benefactor, Dr. Miyazawa, former head of the Bunkacho Cultural Affairs Agency of the central government. There we continue having interviews with people related to hidden Christians, surveying archaeological sites, and collecting hidden Christian materials. We also have working on the project to preserve on film reconstruction of the hidden Christian ceremonies as they were performed during these 200 years. Have beautiful sceneries of Akogi and on Narujima Island. Interviews. In 2022, I made a museum that exhibits the tools used in prayers, the Maria Canon, calendars, a prayer written on silk, and the kimono of the martyrs, which were donated to me during my research. As a special item, there is a piece of martyr's kimono used when a member of the congregation dies. During the funeral, a piece of it is wrapped in Japanese paper and put in the hands of the dead. This is like a passport to heaven, and they believe that after death, the souls travel to Rome and pass through the gates where St. Peter opens the heaven gates for them. So a piece of this kimono was brought, we brought it to the Pope Francis 2 days ago and presented him with this story that the souls of the hidden Christians were supposed to pass through Rome to go to heaven. This is a liturgical calendar that belonged to Mr. Kitagawa, the last Chokata who passed away 10 years ago on Nauru. This calendar was made every year and used until 20 years ago. The days of the week are written in Portuguese. For example, Sexta is the feast of the Santa Maria of the Snows on Friday. Thursday is the feast of San Lorenzo in Quinta. The Portuguese memory has existed for nearly 400 years since the time of the hidden Christian started. For this also, please refer to the booklet we have distributed today. This is the silk prayer is especially a rare item of in the whole Japan. My ancestors migrated to Goto Island from Sotome region of Nagasaki around 2008. Many Christians missionaries also migrated to Goto in the same way. This map was made by the Christians in the vicinity of Akogi of Narushima, and it is an old road that is no longer used for the daily life nowadays. The road that circles the Funamaru Bay is used as a pilgrimage route, and I believe that this road itself is the hidden Christians, the history of Christianity in Narushima. In May 2022, the European Japanese Symposium, Spirituality, Resilience and Regeneration about the pilgrimage roads of Europe and Japan was held in Tokyo. I gave a lecture there on the significance of the World Heritage Site and the Akogi Kodo pilgrimage road. Since then, with the cooperation of many people, we have been cutting down fallen trees and bamboos, repairing collapsed paths, signpointing the path and preserving the large camellia trees. The area surrounding the pilgrimage road is also that with Christian ruins and a nature from the period where the pilgrims went into hiding. There is a prayer cave, a naturally formed cave where they thought the next generations of leaders, but repeatedly praying them aloud. We can also see a rocky place where fresh water gushed out from the rocks during the low tide, and where the hidden Christians took the water used to be used as a holy water for baptism. We see a grave from the period of hiding, a shrine dedicated to a saint, and a group of large camellia trees with a 10 7-meter circumference trunk. There is also a naturally formed rock resembling Our Lady. We call it Mary Rock. So in this place, because it was not not to be heard, but people around they were able to pray aloud and to remember the prayers. The still image of the Akogi Road. The Akogi Road runs through the middle of the mountain of the Akogi area. We have seen this in the movie also, but this is the area of Hiroshima where the hidden Christians used to live and have their ceremonies. Other ancient roads ran from the opposite side and also were used by the hidden Christians. Last year we inaugurated a monument to commemorate the ancient road, and we call it Camino de Silencio, the way of silence. The road is a pleasant green tunnel, and local students have created guide stones every 100 meters.
A proposito dell'importanza del battesimo per il popolo di Dio, è esemplare la storia della comunità cristiana in Giappone. Ma sentite bene questo, quella comunità subì una dura persecuzione agli inizi del secolo XVII. Vi furono numerosi martiri, i membri del clero furono espulsi e migliaia di fedeli furono uccisi. Non è rimasto in Giappone nessun prete, tutti sono stati espulsi. Allora la comunità si ritirò nella clandestinità, conservando la fede e la preghiera nel nascondimento. E quando nasceva un bambino, il papà o la mamma lo battezzava, perché tutti noi possiamo battezzare. Quando dopo circa 2 secoli e mezzo, 250 anni dopo, i missionari ritornarono in Giappone, migliaia di cristiani uscirono allo scoperto e la Chiesa poté rifiorire. Erano sopravvissuti con la grazia del loro battesimo. Ma questo è grande, eh? Il popolo di Dio trasmette la fede, battezza i suoi figli e va avanti. Che avevano mantenuto, pur nel segreto, un forte spirito comunitario, perché il battesimo li aveva fatti diventare un solo corpo in Cristo. Erano isolati e nascosti, ma erano sempre membra del popolo di Dio, membra della Chiesa. Possiamo tanto imparare di questa storia. Grazie.
As we have seen, Pope Francis also referred to the hidden Christians in a very strong terms. In October of the same year, we visit the Council for Cultural Affairs of the Vatican to request cooperation and met with Archbishop Acevedo, who expressed Vatican's desire to submit a letter of recommendation to the UNESCO World Heritage Committee in the name of the President of the Council of Cultural Affairs. We received that with much gratitude. In November 2003, we visited the Vatican for the first time to request cooperation from the registration of the site as a World Heritage, and made a request to Don Carlo Ceni, Undersecretary at the time of the Commission of Cultural Heritage, and Dr. Stella. They expressed their interest and asked to report our activities in the future.
バチカンの文化教育省に行きました。この文化教育省では、メンドーサという司教様、ポルトガルの司教様ですけど、その司教様とお会いしました。お二人の司教様たちも、文化担当と、教育担当の司教様たちも同席して、同席いたしました。
As already Father Coso has explained, 3 days ago we went to the Vatican Dicastery for Culture, as it's called now, and we were able to meet Archbishop Mendoza and 2 other of the Dicastery, 2 other Archbishop and collaborators, and thank for the help they have been given till now.
それは前話しましたように、2回バチカンに行きまして、いろんな意味でバチカンがサポートしてくれたんですね。世界遺産委員会の方に、バチカンから推薦状を書いていただきました。そういうたくさんの支えによってこの世界遺産が実現したんです。
So for us, we still think that the declaration of World Heritage was mainly due by through the help of the Vatican offices.
これも11月30日に、教皇様と特別謁見ができたんです。
So on the 30th, last 3-4 days ago, we were able to meet Pope Francis.
その時教皇様が言ったのはですね、こういうキリシタン時代の、遺跡といいますか、文化とか、そういうものをやはり次の時代の宝としてきちっと保存して、それを継承していくと、そういうことを強調されました。
So the Pope entrusts us also with the transmission of this heritage, this treasure we have for the future generations.
これは先ほど殉教者の着物という説明いたしましたけど、それを教皇様に捧げた、届けました。
So as we have said already, we give Pope Francis a small piece of these relics from the martyrs that the hidden Christians used to put on the hands of the dead people, so they were able to go to the Vatican and need to go through Rome to heaven. So it was a kind of appropriate present for this moment.
簡単でしたけど、muito obrigado por hoje。ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much. Can you turn on the light, please? We are moving on to the Q&A session. We are going to do 20 minutes, but I think we do only 5 minutes or take a couple of questions. And if you have extra questions, we have a reception downstairs, so you can always ask our guests to your individual question. That's okay with everyone. Okay. So if you have any comment, questions, please raise your hand, and we are happy to receive any comments or questions.
I can translate for you if you do it in Portuguese or in English, it's okay.
I think we are moving on, and if any question comes up to your mind later on, you can always ask at the reception. Okay. And before the end, I also wanted to convey our appreciation, gratitude for distinguished guests today. Thank you very much again for being here with us today. And I also would like to highlight one of the staff members from the Japanese embassy who has been putting a lot of efforts to make this event happen. She's head of the culture section from the embassy. Because without her dedication, we wouldn't have been able to make this happen. So I think she needs to be recognized. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we are moving on to the reception downstairs. Thank you very much for being here, and it has been a pleasure and an honor to be a host of this event. Thank you.
Muito obrigado.
Parabéns. Muito bom.